Yo guys, what is going on? Got a BT9 Greymon X Antibody kind of tribal deck profile for you guys, so I'm super excited about this one. If you know me, you know I'm a huge Greymon stan. I love basically every iteration of the Greymon deck. I've been playing it essentially since it came out. So I am super excited to basically play another like kind of just one stack, super aggro, but a little bit of board control kind of deck for the new format, especially with the new forms. We got my boy War Greymon X Antibody here. Can I just say this guy is so awesome looking, especially the alt art. But yeah, guys, this is a really cool deck. So if you're looking for a tribal deck or like just another red deck to play for this set 9 format, look no further because I got you with this list. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. For level 3s, of course, playing just 12 Agumons, real clean and simple here. So of course the BT5 Searcher Agumon, this reveals top 3, searches any Greymon and then an Omnimon as well. So you can go potentially +2 because I am playing the Blitz Omnimon to be able to close out games. So potentially +2 is really good. Not playing Nokia in this list as much as I love Nokia. I just don't think there's necessarily a lot of room in this deck, and you're not really going for the kind of board control that you know, Black War Greymon is known for, so you don't really benefit too much off of the Nokia. You're really just trying to hide in your breeding area, build up a big stack, move out, maybe evolve a Metal Greymon, attach an X Antibody, and then going for your big push. So that guy's really good. And then of course the new Agumon X Antibody is a really nice addition. This is another consistency card and another reason why I don't necessarily like Nokia in this deck, because Nokia cannot play Agumon X Antibody off of her on play effect. So you either on play or when digivolving reveal the top 3 cards, again search a Greymon, but this one is also your X Antibody searcher, and we'll kind of get to why that's important in a little bit. But this is really good for just evolving from 0 onto Agumon, because keep in mind these black text boxes are a condition. It's just the same as the digivolve cost kind of thing, so it can work in the breeding area is my point. It's not an effect, it's another text box, another condition. So being able to cycle more cards with your Agumons is always good, but of course being able to do something like, you know, digivolve Agu, play a tie or something, play a tamer, promote your Agu, evolve into Agu X for 0, get an extra draw as well as a search is a really nice early turn start. And then of course just a +2000 promo Agumon. This is pretty much standard in basically every iteration of this deck. So then moving on to the level 4s, playing of course just 12 Greymon. So this is the BT5 Greymon, the one that can evolve for a 1 cost. Of course, being able to have the cheat memory is nice, and then +2000 during your turn whenever you're like swinging into your opponent's security is definitely important. You really want to make your War Greymon as big as possible, because the Greymon X actually protects you from card effects. So being able to protect yourself from card effects and battle, and kind of ensures that your stack survives and just makes your big pushes as consistent as possible. Of course, being able to evolve for 1 is very nice as well. And again, keep in mind this Digimon specifically needs to have Agumon in his Digivolution cards to gain that extra memory back. So if you've done something like played an Agumon X Antibody and you evolve over it with nothing else in the stack, you actually still evolve for 2. However, if you do something maybe like promote your Agumon, evolve an X Antibody, and then evolve a Greymon, since this is still you know, since the Agumon is still in the stack, you then would gain the memory even though you're not evolving on top of Agumon, if that makes sense. So anyways, Greymon, really nice one. And then Greymon X Antibody. So the whole theme of the X Antibody Digimon here, they really help out the sort of evolution decks. Can I just say that in a format that we've been playing with a lot of very high rolly, very fast paced decks, a lot of hybrid decks as well, it's nice to be able to go back to kind of the more traditional decks. So being able to help with that, Greymon X Antibody is again another 0 digivolve from Greymon. So this really helps you build your big stack pretty early, because you can go Agumon, Agumon X, Greymon, Greymon X. So now you don't just have a bunch of levels that are dead in your hand, you can actually do something with them and just cycle more cards. The nice thing with this sort of deck is that you can cycle a lot of cards because you're digivolving and drawing very often. So being able to evolve for a 0 on top of Greymon is nice. And then if in effect would delete this Digimon with Greymon or Omegamon / Omnimon in its name, or return it to its opponent to its owner's hand or deck, so Kokaitis Breath, maybe like a Rattlestar Resolve for 3, stuff like that, anything that would bounce it back to hand or deck, you may prevent it from leaving play by detaching 2 with the same level in this Digivolve Digivolution cards. So hence why both Greymon X and Agumon X are very important, because if your stack has Agumon, Agumon X, and Greymon, Greymon X, you can effectively use that effect 2 times. The real only card I can think of that like gets around this effect is of course DP reduction. That whole mechanic kind of just doesn't like work with this. This unfortunately does not prevent that, but also Chaos Degradation is one of the only notable option cards I can think of. But everything else, Gaia Force, Kokai's Breath, stuff like that, you can be able to detach to. So that is really nice. Being able to have that layer of protection on your big stack decks is definitely important. And then of course, just started at Greymon, this is standard in basically every red deck since the beginning of the game, and probably until the end of the game. This guy is really good. Just checking 2 is broken. So then for the level 5s, I'm playing an interesting lineup. Now the definite 4 of you want to play is the Metal Greymon X antibody. This for a couple of reasons. Now he's got a Digivolve from 0 from Metal Greymon. This Digimon gains a Psych Attack +1, meaning it checks an additional card until the end of your opponent's next turn. And then if Metal Greymon or X antibody is in its Digivolution sources, this Digimon gets plus 3,000. So that plus 3,000 is a bonus, but of course that ensures that your War Greymon X will survive, or whatever you're swinging with. Even if you just swing with the Metal Greymon himself, that puts him to 11k base. And if you got like a Greymon or Agumon, you can go all the way up to 13k. For level 5 is pretty crazy. And then being able to Digivolve for 0 on top of Metal Greymon is cool. Another thing I do want to point out is that if you guys are familiar with the black text boxes, they don't actually specify color. So for example, if you're evolving on top of, like, let's say the black Metal Greymon, like the one from 1.5, or maybe the black starter deck, stuff like that, you can actually still do that because this specification does not require any sort of color. So I'm playing 4 Metal Greymons in this deck. I am actually playing the dual black-red color. This is nice just for de-digivolving to be able to out things and this spot removal. A lot of times you will end up with 4 memory, and I'll show you exactly why in this deck, but that is really nice. But then of course being able to attack unsuspended Digimon, because of course War Greymon X is still a Dragonkin, so that effect I think is still very, very powerful. Sometimes you need to out things, and especially if you've got X antibody underneath, you can swing into something, you know, that's unsuspended, delete it, and then off of his end attack effect you can then delete something else. So this card, can't say enough good things about it. The only real downside is the 4 evolve, but I'm also playing 2 copies of the BT9 Metal Greymon. This guy is good for a couple of reasons. The on play, if you have a tamer in play, you gain 2 memory, so effectively making him a like vanilla 5 cost level 5 is really nice. Maybe just as like a turn 1 or 2 follow up if you're breaking. But then also if you don't have a tamer, you can play a red tamer card from your hand. So effectively playing 7 to get a Metal Greymon plus a tie on field is pretty crazy as well. But also the once per turn inherited, where if your opponent's Digimon is deleted, you get to gain a memory. War Greymon X gains you a lot of memory whenever you do attack with him, and if you got this underneath him, you can gain even more. So hence why I'm playing those 2, but any Metal Greymon I think is good enough just to pair with the X antibody. Okay, so then now for the boss monster of the deck is of course the the War Greymon X antibody. So he's got the condition Digivolve 1 from War Greymon. You're not usually using that. Typically you're just going from Metal Greymon X straight into the X antibody here. So he's got 2 really powerful effects. So first of all, when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, you gain a memory. Now notice how that is during all turns, and that's also not once per turn. So the way this resolves is if you're swinging with your War Greymon X antibody, and then you'll check 1 security card, like 1 at a time, like even if he's got Psych Attack plus. So you'll check 1 at a time, you'll reveal the card. If it's got a security effect, you'll activate it. If it's a Digimon, you'll battle it. After that, any effects due to the battle do trigger. So then after that, the all turns effect will trigger. A card was removed from the security stack, then you'll immediately just gain a memory, and then you'll continue that cycle depending on how many checks you've got. If you've got 3, you'll check 3 cards, and each time after the end of battle you will gain a memory. And then at the end of attack, whenever you're done with all of your security checks, if this Digimon has War Greymon or X antibody in his Digivolution source, you get to just delete something with a DP less than or equal to this Digimon's. That is basically just everything. You're typically getting him pretty strong. He's 12,000 base, so that's already basically every level 6, and you know, if you've got like the Metal Greymon effect active or the Agumon Greymon, etc., you can put him to 15, 16, 17k. So So deleting anything just at the end of battle, or end of attack, sorry, is really, really powerful. Keep in mind that he needs to have War Greymon specifically, like no other Greymon, and then as well as, or like either that or X antibody. Now that doesn't mean, and initially I think it's worded just a little bit weirdly, or maybe it's confusing to maybe newer players, that this means like specifically this card. It has to specifically be this card, this option card, X antibody. This needs to be under his Digivolution sources to trigger that effect. It can't just be like a Digimon with X antibody in its traits, for example. If that met the condition, it would say specifically like if this has X antibody in its traits, or Digimon has it in its traits, it would be that. But you specifically need like the white option card X antibody. So which is why what brings me to my like kind of complaint about the deck, or the real downside, is that it's very, very reliant on this X antibody card. But we'll get to that in just a second. So that's really good. And then for your supplement like OTK Digimon, I am playing just 2 copies of the starter deck War Greymon. Now this guy is really, really powerful, okay? Like, trust me, this guy is crazy, because you get Sec Attack +1 for each 2 Digivolution cards you've got. So typically in past sets, this would only ever be at like Sec Attack 3, but for 4 Evolve, that's a little bit like not that great. And then of course, he doesn't have any other bonus effects. It's not like BT1 War Greymon where he prevents options or anything like that. But if you think about it, you're getting a pretty big stack when you are evolving the X antibody deck. So if you've got like your Digi-Egg, Agumon, Agumon X, Greymon, Greymon X, Metal Greymon X, and then this guy, that is 7 Digivolution cards, plus if you got X antibody, that is 8 Digivolution cards, and if you got Tai, that's another check, so that can potentially bring you to 5 to 6 checks. So for those reasons, I still think starter deck War Greymon is just like actually crazy. I'm glad we can finally like play this card, because it's been in the game for so long, but it's just like never really been playable. And then just to finish off games, playing just 2 copies of the Blitz Omnimon. Can't really say too much about this card. Not playing any hybrids in this deck. You could definitely maybe cut like one of these Greymons to squeeze in an extra hybrid, but I personally don't think you need it if you're running the Omnimon, which is also searchable. And then, okay, so for the option cards, playing 3 copies of the X antibody. So if you guys don't know what this card does, it basically ignores the color requirement. If you got Digimon in play, okay, easy enough. You pretty much always have a Digimon in play. And then what you do is you place this card at the bottom Digivolution cards of one of your Digimon without X antibody. So basically, like, if it can't already have this card underneath it, so you just put this underneath it, and then it gets the, when attacking effect, you may Digivolve this Digimon into a Digimon in your hand with X antibody in its traits by paying its Digivolution cost. So this card lets you basically just blitz into the War Greymon X antibody. So being 4 to evolve like doesn't necessarily really matter, because you're typically just like swinging with your Metal Greymon X, and then you'll resolve this, and then like go into the War Greymon X antibody, check some card, gain some memory, delete something as well. So I think this is very, very essential to the strategy, hence why I'm playing 3 copies. It's also got like a pseudo Hammer Spark security effect, gain 1 memory and add this card to your hand, which is really, really nice. Of course, costing 0 is really important as well. So this card is just overall really good. And the next, playing Tai, of course, just to get extra security checks, and being your memory tamer is definitely important as well. And then 3 copies of Cool Boy. This guy is the searcher for basically every X antibody Digimon in your deck, as well as the option card. So he searches War Greymon X, Greymon X, Metal Greymon X, and as well as Agumon. So a lot of targets in here, and then of course gets this to your hand. Also Agumon, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Agumon also searches the X antibody, so that's pretty important as well. And then he also has the second effect where if your Digimon Digivolves into a Digimon with the same level that has X antibody in its traits, you get to suspend him to gain a memory, draw 1. So like for example, if you like Digivolve Agumon on Agumon X on Agumon, you can suspend him, gain a memory, draw. You can do the same thing with Greymon on top of Greymon X on top of Greymon, Metal Greymon X on top of Metal Grey, etc. So really cool stuff there. A lot of consistency as well as value there. And then just lastly, 1 copy of Delicate Plan, because you are typically going for very big pushes, and against the set control matchup, this is important. You could probably try to squeeze in another copy. I don't necessarily think you need more than like 1, or maybe I'd maybe play 2, but you guys can let me know what you'd cut. Maybe you could cut like an X antibody for a second Delicate Plan, but that's totally up to player preference. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. This deck is a lot of fun, so I encourage you guys to try it out when BT9 does become available to you. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That'll be it for this one, and we'll see you next time.